Now, the Azeri Defense Ministry says the country's army has advanced in the Nagorno-Karabakh region, capturing several military positions from Armenian forces. Ministry spokesperson said the army carried out a successful operation against Armenian forces around the village of Madagiz. Armenian media outlets released footage which they say shows the aftermath of the shelling in the region's capital city of Stepankert. Armenia and Azerbaijan have been in a dispute for decades over Nagorno-Karabakh, which is internationally recognized as part of Azerbaijan but controlled by ethnic Armenians. Clashes broke out between the two neighbors over the weekend, with each side accusing the other of initiating the fighting. And the Iranian and Russian foreign ministers have expressed concern about the involvement of Syrian and Libyan mercenaries in the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. Mohammad Javad Zarif and Sergei Lavrov touched upon the issue via a phone call to discuss the recent deadly flare-up between Azerbaijan and Armenia over the disputed region. Earlier this week, the French President Emmanuel Macron accused Turkey of sending Syrian mercenaries to Nagorno-Karabakh in support of Azerbaijan. However, both Turkey and Azerbaijan denied the allegation. Tehran and Moscow have already called on Baku and Yerevan to resolve their dispute through dialogue. Iran has also expressed readiness to help diffuse tensions between the two neighbors. And joining us now for some extended coverage on the story is Ahmad Shahidov, head of the Azerbaijan Institute for Democracy and Human Rights from Baku, and Michael Springman, author and former diplomat, joining us from Washington, D.C. Gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you both to the program here. I guess we'll start there in Baku with you. Mr. Shahidov, tell us what's going on over there.
Yes, I greet you from Baku, Azerbaijan. As of tension between Armenia and Azerbaijan has taken Monday after the Armenian military units violated ceasefire and targeted civil settlements, civil villages on front line. And in response to these provocations, Azerbaijani army launched large-scale military operations and on Nagorno-Karabakh on front line. And in one day, 7 villages, occupied Azerbaijani villages, and has been liberated from Armenian arms. And today it's the 6th day of these clashes in Nagorno-Karabakh. Every day there are intensive fighting between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and unfortunately started from Sunday. Armenian shelling on civil villages of Azerbaijani civil settlements caused killings and wandering of civil population from Azerbaijani side, and officially it declared that about 19 civil citizens has been killed and about 50 persons wounded. And Azerbaijani side informed this provocation all international organizations, but unfortunately these fighting clashes has been going on now, and in response all these provocations, Azerbaijani army large-scale operations. Today's clashes was going on in Fizuli, Agdara region, and already Azerbaijani army liberated some new areas from Armenian occupation as well. So all international organizations, including UN, OECD, Council of Europe, the other countries, the regional, also Iran and Russia, called both sides to stop the fighting and to start new negotiations, dialogue on resolving this conflict. But Azerbaijan is a very peaceful country, and after ceasefire agreement signed in May 1994, during these last 30 years, Azerbaijan has always tried to resolve this conflict with peaceful negotiations, and called all international organizations to press Armenian side and to commit the UN Security Council for resolutions about the immediately withdrawal of Armenian troops from occupied Azerbaijani territories, but unfortunately there is no result of these negotiations, and Armenian authorities during these last 30 years tried to gain time and to keep this status quo, and always in April 16, in July of this year, tried to attack the civil village and make some provocative acts against civil settlements of Azerbaijan. That's why I think there is no chance for peaceful negotiations of this conflict right now. Everything depends on Armenian authorities, because Azerbaijan state, the head of state, Ilham Aliyev, once again said that we are ready for peaceful negotiations only after Armenian troops will be withdrawn from these occupied territories. After that time, we will go to negotiations with Armenia, because all international organizations have accepted the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan, and there are a lot of international statements about accepting this territorial integrity of Azerbaijan.
Okay, thank you, Ahmad. Mr. Michael Spring, always a pleasure to have you on Press TV, sort of give perspective on things. Now, Michael, tell us why there's been so many voices imploring both Baku and Yerevan to try to diffuse the situation before it gets spirals out of control, but instead, and both sides have actually expressed, the willingness and the desire to make that happen. But why is it on the ground we're seeing something totally different there, Michael?
Well, the change really is something that has goes back to the 1920s, when Azerbaijan was part of the old Soviet Union, and the USSR redrew some lines and put a chunk of Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh in the middle of Azerbaijan. And the tensions have simmered since then. But now Turkey is recruiting mercenaries, supposedly mercenaries, from Syria. And of course, these are the same people that the United States created when they were getting the Mujahideen for the Afghan war against the Soviet Union in the 1980s. The issue now is, of course, these people have traveled from Afghanistan to Yugoslavia, to Libya, to Syria, and Iraq. And now they're traveling to the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict, recruited by the Turks, but trained and probably manipulated from behind the scenes by the Americans, just as they did in all of the wars in South and Southwest Asia and North Africa. Wherever you turn, you see an area of tension between separatist minorities with somehow groups that have been trained by the Americans, by the Saudis, by the Turks, by the Israelis, deeply involved in the conflict. They are there as volunteers, supposedly. They came of their own free will. They saw about the conflict on television. Their friends told them about it, et cetera, et cetera. And all of a sudden, you have outside fighters stoking the flames of war between two dissonant groups. So that basically is why it's important and why nobody is really looking at it. They don't want to look at what the Americans have been doing or what their NATO ally Turks have been doing to destabilize the region.
So, Michael, what do you think it's going to take at this point to try to put an end to this thing before it does get out of control and blows up into full-scale war?
Well, I think it's going to take Russia, which is the successor state to the one which created the problem and which has good relations with both sides, as well as Iran with a substantial Azeri population, to bring this thing to a conclusion and force negotiations, to force concessions, and to bring about peace.
And Ahmad, what about you? What do you think it's going to take to put a quick end to this thing before any more lives are lost on either side?
First of all, I want to make a short comment about my colleague about the mercenaries. There is no fact, there is no evidence that there are any mercenaries in Nagorno-Karabakh. And sure, Turkey is our brother country, and Turkey only supports politically supports brother Azerbaijan. But in fact, that there are 10 million population in Azerbaijan, and in Armenia there are only 2.5 or 3 million population. It's just no meaning to invite any mercenaries, any militants, any other counter soldiers to Nagorno-Karabakh, because we have enough soldiers, even 1 million youth soldiers we have to fight against Armenia. It's just the next false information spread by Armenian side. In fact, that Armenia has invited ethnic Armenians from Greece, from Beirut, from Iraq, Syria, and there are a lot of facts that the 7 villages gained by Azerbaijani side, there are a lot of troops not Armenian nationality. So this is mercenaries from Turkey. It's just false information. It's non-real, and there is no any evidence about it. So how to end this escalation or these clashes between Armenia and Azerbaijan? These clashes are going on between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and the territorial integrity of Azerbaijan was violated, and the statement of territorial integrity is one of the main rule of UN convention, and Azerbaijan demands immediately release these territories. After that, Azerbaijan will stop these military operations, and this is the main demand of Azerbaijani side. And if Armenia will wish to have peace, prosperity in the region, if Armenian soldier doesn't want to die in Nagorno-Karabakh, they have to move out from these occupied Azerbaijan territories, and Armenian authorities immediately have to withdraw these troops with these occupied territories. After that, Azerbaijan will launch new peaceful negotiations, and we will discuss the future of Nagorno-Karabakh, the future of Armenia, Azerbaijan, and all regions.
Thank you, Ahmad. And Michael, your final thoughts before we wrap this up.
Thoughts are basically it's an area where there's ethnic strife, where there's a chance for the Americans to divide and conquer, to disrupt the flow of oil to Russia and other areas in Central Asia. And to talk about the rights of Armenia and the rights of Azerbaijan is basically a cover made by politicians to hide and cover their activities, and the fact that they're importing terrorists that have been trained by the United States to divide and conquer their countries.
All right, gentlemen, I want to thank you both for joining us. Ahmad Shahidov joining us out of Baku. Mr. Michael Springman there joining us from Washington, D.C. We'll be following the story very closely here on Press TV, and we'll keep you updated accordingly, so do stay with us.